Hi everyone, I'm Sandy Brown, founder of Pilgrim Paths, and I'm really glad you could join us tonight. We started Pilgrim Paths because we love the way long walks bring people together, connect us with history and nature, and help us slow down to really see the world. Next year is our 10th year at Pilgrim Paths. We have two main services. With our group treks, we gather people together, add an expert guide, give the group a driver and van support to make long-distance walking fun, especially for people who might not otherwise consider taking a long, multi-day hike. Our concierge service helps pilgrims who want to travel on their own, but still appreciate some support, like booked lodging, luggage transfers, and local advice. And coming soon, we're excited to offer self-guided package treks for those who like to set their own rhythm, with everything arranged ahead of time. Tonight's gathering is all about our Rota Vicentina group trek in Portugal. We'll meet the team, explore the route, and get a taste of what's waiting along that stunning Atlantic coast walk this coming March. It's my pleasure to welcome as MC one of my partners at Pilgrim Paths, Rocky Brown Niebles, who is a pilgrim in her own right. She's fluent in Spanish and accomplished in Italian and Portuguese as well. Rocky will walk us through our program tonight. Take it away, Rocky.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you for putting together these presentations. So this is going to be a great series of presentations, and this is our first one. Uh, we will be accepting questions at the end of the presentations. If you're on Zoom, just write your questions in the chat. If you're in Facebook, in the comments, and if you're in YouTube, in the chat there. We have two great presenters here today, both really connected to this walk. The first one, Gillian Price, is one of Europe's most respected outdoor guidebook authors. She's originally from England. She grew up in Australia and now is based in Venice. Her elegant, precise writing and deep knowledge of Europe's mountain and coastal treks make her an authority on hikes in Italy, Greece, France, and Portugal. She's an author of an astounding 28 guidebooks, which is no surprise since she's a favorite with Cicerone Press readers and international walkers. Our second presenter is Giovanni Ramaccioni. See if I pronounced that right. Yay! He's a seasoned Italian hiking guide based in Umbria. He specializes in long distance pilgrimage routes across Italy and known for his warm leadership, local insight, and meticulous logistical support. He leads walkers through sacred landscapes with authentic hospitality and deep regional knowledge. So, with all that in mind, Gillian, if you could start us out.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Gillian, and I'm very excited to say I'll be hosting the Rota Vicentina trek with Pilgrim Paths next year in March. And I'll be accompanied by Giovanni, who will be giving a lot of practical and technical details in a minute. Now, I'd like to show you some pictures to give you the idea of the simply magnificent landscapes and seascapes you'll be seeing as we head along the Rota Vicentina. I seem to have a reputation with my publisher Cicerone for getting carried away with enthusiastic adjectives in my guidebooks, but today I'll try and restrain myself and let the pictures do the talking. Now, first, before we go any further, we need to see a map. Right. Yes, you can see the map?
Yes.
Excellent. So we're talking about Portugal. This is the southwest of Europe, and we're on the coast with the Atlantic Ocean. We'll be meeting up in the Portuguese capital of Lisbon, which is further north of what you can see now. And then we'll have a transfer because our journey begins at the fishing village of Porto Covo, which is located on the western coast. You can see it there at the top of that pink line. From there, we'll be setting off to walk due south for a total of 170 kilometers over 8 days. And that means about 20 kilometers a day. At the end of the trip, we'll be transferring to Lagos. You can see that down the bottom, and then catching a train back up to Lisbon. We'll be exploring 2 regions of southern Portugal. First of all, the Alentejo. The name comes from beyond the Tejo, which is the river running through Lisbon. And a lot of the Alentejo is quite undeveloped, and it's a protected park area, which is great news for us because it's really good walking country. And then further south, about halfway down, you can see Odeixeza, where we duck inland, and that's where we enter the Algarve region. And that name comes from the Arabic for the west, because that was the western part when the area was dominated by the Moors. There are very few urban areas there, and it's pretty quiet. We virtually never work on surfaced roads. So what more do you want? Whoops. Next slide. Ah, okay. Oh, sorry. Right. I hope you saw that. A couple of examples of landscape here. You've got vast beaches, amazing coast. But as far as I'm concerned, the best part of this trip is the space, because you've got lots and lots of space to breathe. You're looking out to the ocean, looking out at the horizon beyond the waves. And the adjective crowded is, I'd never use it for the Rota Vicentina. There's lots of diversity in terms of what you're walking on. No shortage of beautiful beaches with golden sand, rugged cliff tops, sand dunes, pebbles, and a little bit of clambering. I wanted to show you a boardwalk. There it is, my boardwalk. There's quite a lot of boardwalks, which are really handy because they make the walking easier as you're going across cliff tops. And as I said, you've got quite a lot of beach walking and cliff tops. A little bit of clambering, but very, very rare. Now, the route is not mountainous, but it's not a Sunday stroll either, and it rates moderate in terms of difficulty. And as I said, it's about 20 kilometers a day, so that can be a long day. Another one of the things I just adore about this route are the flowers. Even though you're on sandy terrain or rocky terrain, and we're on the Atlantic coast, it's perfect for typical Mediterranean plants. And it's incredible that they can survive there because you've got cold winds blasting in, lots of salt. This one in particular is called the blue pimpernel, and you'll see lots of that. This is a more aromatic herb. And then you're often walking through grass as well, through the dunes. This is actually orange blossom, because around the villages that we'll be staying in, there are fields and quite a lot of citrus. So orange blossom, which smells beautiful, is a common part of that as well. It's funny, actually, because in a couple of European countries, the word for orange, including in Italy, is Portuguese, because the Portuguese actually brought a lot of citrus from the Far East into Europe, and it's kept the name. So how about that? This wonderful plant is the Hottentot fig. And it's a great sand dune colonizer. And this comes in yellow and bright pink as well. This is the entrance to the Acheza River. So you actually get quite a few rivers coming in from the coast, which are extremely handy for the villages because it means that they're protected, they're not right on the ocean. And it meant that they could trade as well. You also get pebbly beaches, but wild places and wonderful horizons. Now, the the crazy cliff tops, as you can see here, are very popular with white storks. They don't seem to worry about exposure to the wind or getting dizzy on the edges there. They collect twigs and build up these little towers, really, which seem to be protecting them from predators. The only problem they have are with the seagulls. There's actually one perched there at the bottom of the nest because they go for the eggs and the young. But otherwise, the storks are absolutely safe up there. You often see them inland as well. They build nests on the power pylons. Now, the storks used to be migratory. They used to head down to Africa in the winter, but now they seem to have found enough food in Portugal on the mainland, on the landfill and places like that. So they stay year round. Lots and lots of rugged cliffs and protection for walkers. This is Carapetera Beach, which is one of my favorites. I seem to have a lot of favorite beaches. And here again, you've got the Hottentot figs down the sandy, rocky cliff here. This is a little fishing village in a cove. They have to make the most of the sheltered places for their harbors. Some more boardwalks through the dunes. This is a little, of course, there were fortresses built in the olden times. This one's at Arifana, which is a great place for sunset, obviously. And we will also come across quite a few wind farm parks with their huge propeller generators. Now, Portugal is actually quite, not the leader, but it's doing pretty well in Europe in terms of clean energy. And they are making a really big effort to get it right. In fact, back in 2016, a huge 58% of the power Portugal produced came from renewable sources. And 23% of domestic consumption is covered by the wind turbines. I think that's pretty impressive. As you can see, it's not terribly difficult walking, but you just have to keep going. Now here we're coming to the bottom corner, and you can just see there in the distance, there's a little tiny, you can see it again in this picture, the lighthouse of Cabo de São Vicente. This is quite an amazing place. It never fails to give me a thrill, particularly after you've walked 170 kilometers. Now, Cabo de São Vicente has been a sacred spot for as long as we know. The Romans called it the Promontorium Sacrum, and it was well known also to the ancient Greeks and the Phoenicians. They said that the sun used to hiss as it set in the water there. But in the 15th century, for the Portuguese navigators, it was an incredibly important place because it was the last bit of dry land they saw before they set off into the great unknown on their epic voyages. Ever heard of Vasco da Gama? He set off from there too. And it's called, so here's the lighthouse itself. It's called Cabo de São Vicente after the Spanish priest, St. Vincent in English, who was the patron saint, one of the patron saints probably of seafarers. And his martyred body washed up there. And as the story goes, it was guarded by ravens. But they later moved his relics into Lisbon Cathedral. And guess what? It was St. Vincent who gave the Rota Vicentina its name. Thank you, Sandy, for reminding me of that. The promontory is also incredibly interesting for bird lovers because late summer through to autumn, you get huge flocks of birds migrating from all over Europe on their way to Africa. Buzzards, eagles, swifts, and plovers, and as many as you like. So just around from Cabo San Vicente is Sagres, where we'll actually be ending our walk on this big promontory with fortresses, of course. And this was King Henry the Navigator, who was responsible for encouraging lots of the Portuguese navigators and the exploration. And he actually founded a navigation school there. There used to be an impressive fortress as well, but St. Francis Drake got there and blasted it to bits, in the 1500s. So lots of delights and interesting things, but we mustn't forget, walking brings on, makes you thirsty and hungry. These are just a couple of the Portuguese wines. It's not just port. There are lots of interesting reds and whites as well. And of course, you get hungry when you're walking. And they do an awful lot of seafood. In fact, seafood and lots of fresh vegetables and fruit are the norm in the diet there. And the Portuguese are actually the greatest consumers of fish in the whole of Europe. And there's no escaping something called, which in English we call cod, salted cod, and they call it bacalhau. I'm sure Giovanni will correct my pronunciation. And that was from back in the days when the Portuguese used to go fishing in Newfoundland. Now, there are 365 different ways of preparing cod bacalhau, one for every day of the year. Boiled, baked with potato, cheese and cream, however you like it. I'm sorry, I know you're looking at a prawn dish because I forgot to take a picture of the bacalhau. I ate it first. Okay, and the other thing that you have to taste, we'll definitely be tasting probably for breakfast, are these wonderful Portuguese tarts, pastel de nata. And I think they deserve UNESCO World Heritage recognition. Okay, thanks for listening. I very much look forward to walking the Rota Vicentina with you, and it's over to Giovanni, if I can. Right.
Thank you so much, Gillian. That was fabulous. And I love the pictures and can't wait to go there sometime. Also the pastéis de nata, the little tarts, those are wonderful. That's my favorite dessert of all time. So anyway, on that note, Giovanni, you're next, and we look forward to hearing from you about some of the more technical parts of the trip.
Okay, thank you so much, Rocky, and thank you, Gillian, and of course, thank you, Sandy, and buonasera to everybody from Tuscany, where I'm right now. Let me just initiate the sharing of my video, and that's the beginning. Okay, so this is a very interesting coastal route. I am really in love with Portugal. That's a place where I happened to live for a year in, during my university years. I studied in Coimbra, which is the third most ancient university. And so that's, where everything started. I've studied language and literature in my university years, and that was one of the few places where I really, thought of settling there. And that's how I love, this incredible land, which is at the edge of Europe and looking at the ocean. Okay. In a way, the whole culture of Portugal extends toward the ocean. If you look at the map, most of the cities and the villages are along the coast or close to the big two rivers. So that tells quite a lot about the need to explore that. It's embedded in the genetic code of the Portuguese. To go back to the words of Gillian, anyway, I have to remember a compatriot from Venice that started the big challenge of the discovery of the new words, and that's Alvise Cadamosto. That was a very important figure for the School of Sagres to start exploring the unknown from Portugal. And of course, they were quite enlightened to think to explore the other lands from Portugal. And, of course, they hired a Venetian to do that at the beginning. Anyway, I have some slides to show you. I would start, of course, with myself. That these photos are from this year, March. last reconnaissance trip that I did. So they could be quite like giving you the picture of what you will see this coming March. So March is in a way great because it has good temperatures. Roughly, we go from the coldest could be, the minimum could be 10 degrees Celsius, and the maximum could be close to 20 in Celsius, which means like 52 Fahrenheit to 64 Fahrenheit, to give you a rough figure. And it's great because that's a moment in which we will see lots of flowers blossoming, and not only flowers. I've collected a bunch of asparagus, wild asparagus, while on my way. So that could be good in case we want to make a frittata with asparagus. Anyway, what I've done. Oh, is it me? Do you see my slides or not? Because I don't see those anymore. Oh, what happens? Sorry, I don't know how to change this. I will try again to share. Okay, share. Sorry. I don't know what happened. Oh, can you see me now? Can you see my slides now? Hello?
Giovanni, we can't see the slides right now. We had been seeing them before, though.
Okay. Okay. Let me try to relaunch those again. Share.
There you go.
Okay, you can see me now.
Hey.
All right, so these are some views of this dramatic cliffs. There is an alternation of limestone cliffs to sedimentary rock cliffs, so quite interesting, dramatic settings. The itinerary more or less follows the coastline north to south. So we will have plenty of incredible views. Of course, Portugal is into a big economical boom, also because of tourism. And tourism in that part of the land means hikers and surfers. So the places that we're going to attend that were born as fishermen villages are now a main destination for hikers, people that would like to hike the coastal way of the Rota Vicentina, which is also known as Trilho dos Pescadores, which is fisherman trail, or, to go surfing in these incredible places. Great setting also for birders, because you can see an incredible array of different birds. And yeah, as you can see, there's a mix of rocks and sands, very little forest, very few, shrubs. And this is, of course, food. So pastéis de nata, perhaps the most famous dessert pastry from Portugal. And then lots of seafood. On the right, that's a product from Alentejo, which is the sweet potato. They go very proud of their sweet potatoes. And while on the left, you have percebes that are crustaceans, and the fishermen that go fishing percebes, they are very adventurous because they have to dive into this like cliffs of agitated waters, and it's not an easy job. But, of course, most of the diet will be on fish, because that's a great place to eat fish. Again, surfers. And, well, this is the signage that we'll find very often. The blue and green is the fisherman trail. Occasionally, we can see also the no way sign. So when you see a cross, that means that the path doesn't go there. And the signage that is yellow and red is for circular routes, while the third signage that we will see, it's the historic route, which comes in with a white waymark and red waymark. And now we go to some technical guidelines. As you can see from close, the two hikers, they have low profile like trail shoes, low cut trail shoes with gaiters, but these are light gaiters, are not those that we use with the snowshoes, of course. These are the ones specific for this type of terrain. So along the walk, we will have plenty of section of sand, not just sand, but that's perhaps the most important aspect to focus. There are also rock formation. As we can see, this is a section of the trail just before the Cabo de São Vicente, so nearly the end of our walk. And this is compact sand on your left. Very, just in one spot you have this very unusual formations. Then you have boardwalks, and then you have dirt roads and gravel roads. Very, very little blacktop, perhaps approaching the villages, and that's it. And this is a closer view of a low-cut trail shoe paired with sand gaiters. So these are very useful because they would protect you from the sand that gets into the shoes. The alternative would be to stop every 5 and 6 kilometers to empty your shoe from the sand. So it is quite useful. It does not make your legs too hot, I have to say, so it's quite bearable also in sunny days. This is how it may look like the trail. So you will see sand not only on the beach, you may also see on the top of the cliff, which is quite unusual, but that's how it goes. So, walking in the sand is quite challenging. It's heavier. So as Gillian pointed out, we are not walking through the mountains, we walk through the cliffs. So the elevation gain, it's very, very low. To give you some figures, the days will go from a minimum of 14 kilometers to a maximum of 22 kilometers. And the elevation gain goes from 140 meters of elevation gain to a maximum of 340 meters of elevation gain. So it's really a minor aspect, the elevation gain. However, it's not an easy walk because of the terrain we cover. So, we need to be prepared for this walk. That's why it's not even targeted as an easy walk. On the other hand, and I will go to there in a while, we don't have necessarily to walk from A to B. So this is a type of walk that has a van assistance, and if you have a 22 kilometers walk, it doesn't mean that you have to do the full 22 kilometers. But it's good to know, because I know that there's people that wants to be prepared, and it's a very wise thing. And so, if you do a little bit of preparation for this walk, it's never a bad idea. So these are two examples of low-cut hiking shoes. On your left, the sand color one, it's what is nowadays a trendiest type of model, which has a wide sole. To give you some brands, Ultra is perhaps the leading company that does this type of shoes, while on the right you have a narrow, I would say more canonical, more classic type of low cut hiking shoe. The positives of the latter is, of course, that you have laces up until the edge of the shoe, so you can modify it as much as you want, as differently for the trail shoe. It derives a little bit from sports shoes, so you don't have very often laces until the edge. But it's the most common nowadays type of shoe that it's reliable in the market. There are some shoes like that they already come paired with their own sand gaiters. The positives and negative of a wider sole are, the fact that, in a way, everybody's different when it comes to feet. So there's people that requires and wants to have a wider sole, and people that are happy with like a thinner type of sole. So that's a good news. Generally speaking, the trend is to go for wider soles, because the foot is more in its natural position. But again, that does not apply to everybody. So everybody is in a way different. A good pairing could be also to buy socks that are made for hiking, of synthetic material or wool. Nowadays, wool it's becoming the big trend, and I'm a big fan of wool outdoor garments, and I think it's a very good choice. I would disregard cotton socks, because they retain moisture and they can drive to hot spots and blisters. This is hiking boot, and it's definitely an exaggeration. However, to go back to a personal approach, there's people that are used in the everyday life to have boots and high shoes. That means that their tendons are used to that. And, I would be crazy to recommend to these people to go for low cut shoes on a hike like that, because they are not, their leg is not just used. So I have nothing against having, guests showing up with tall boots if they are used to that, or in a way, if they need that, because of course that would give them way more support, especially to tall and heavy people. Sandals. Sandals, I think they are very, very useful for the end of the day to relax, but also for the long sections of beach. And so it could be a good change, and people may swap from trail shoes to sandals, maybe even to soak a little bit into the water. And it's a big recommendation just to attach with a carabiner or with a rope your sandal to the back of your day pack. Here we have two examples, a more classical Tiva model made for hiking, and this is what I personally love, a minimalistic type of sandal. Don't try those if you're not use it on a trip. That's always like a golden rule that applies to also the hiking shoes. So break your hiking shoes before doing a hiking trip. So this is a section with mud, so we can deal also with a little bit of mud and water. To start with the head, of course, since we will deal with windy days and very, very sunny days, it's good to have protection. So huts for hiking and for caminos are the first choice, and even a bandana or a buff is not a bad idea. Then this would be an example of the outdoor garments that I would recommend bringing. So 2 or 3 base layers with short sleeve, maybe 1 with long sleeve. Then we go for a mid layer that could be useful in the cold mornings or cold days after the rain. It's not a bad idea to have that. And of course, a windproof and waterproof jacket, because we don't have to forget that we are in front of the Atlantic Ocean, and the weather can change dramatically, and you can also have in March a full day of rain. So it's good to have to be prepared also for garments. When it comes to trousers, I like the models that may fold. So I would rather focus on light hiking trousers. There are models that may, turn into shorts. I would bring 1 or 2 hiking trousers and maybe 2 pair of shorts for the walk. Then, since we have luggage transportation, we don't need to look into a backpack for hikers, like a 40-liter or more. For us, it does the job at 20 or 25 liters, paired with rain protection. Nowadays, backpacks, they all come with a rain cover and the opportunity to use a water bladder that gets between the back and the actual day pack. A minimum of 2 liters. It's a good compromise, but I would not just use it as a standalone source of water. I would pair also a small bottle or a mug, because the negative of a bladder is that it's a little bit time consuming when you have to refill. So, to get to a faucet and to have a mug or a small water bottle means that you can refill quite quickly and get hydrated quite quickly. There are very, very few places when you can refill during the walks. So it is, not a bad idea to have a bladder of minimum of 2 liters water. Hiking poles, I think they are very, very useful, especially in this type of walk, because they would give you 2 additional balance points. Again, we don't have very heavy backpacks as these people. We have lighter ones, but to have 2 points for balance, 2 additional points of balance, it's always good. They may turn out to be useful. The models that are telescopic, especially when you deal with steep descents, you can make it longer. That means that you can reach the soil more easily. Or when you do have a section with very steep uphill, you can use it as a shorter, or maybe have use of those models that they have the grips below the handle. Nowadays, many hiking poles, they have a grip below the handle specific for steep climb. They can come in aluminum or composite carbon fiber. The carbon fiber are the lighter models, but I think aluminum is really the best. They come at a more reasonable price, and they are very durable. The van assistance and support, so that's an important aspect. the nature of the fisherman trail obliges us to show up with the van only in few specific spots because there's a natural reserve, and of course we cannot drive in parallel to the hikers, so we will have to choose specific points to show up with our van. Our van normally comes with additional water and snacks and fruit, so that's always available. And we are very happy to set up also picnic when it's worthwhile, so we can be flexible. The very first thing to do during the day in a normal day scenario, which means fair weather for hiking, etc., is to deliver the luggage from A to B, which means that the van will be available only late morning, I would say. But after late morning, the van will show up in the places where we could provide assistance and even transfer to the next inn. So if you look that thing into perspective, we don't have to necessarily walk the full amount of kilometers per day. We are very happy to make it shorter for those who strive to do not more than 15 kilometers, etc. So that is always an opportunity. Okay, we are finished with the guidelines, and now we get to the real rules. And basically, the rule number one is to have fun. So that's an important rule to keep it always in mind. And rule number one again and again. So we have some people in the first picture that are drawing pilgrim pebbles that we leave along the trail. And of course, singing and dancing is part of that. Again, we have here Sandy showing up muscles in a hot spring in Tuscany along the Via Francigena, and our friend Mauro having fun with the cat. And other images that well explain the spirit of our Pilgrim Path experiences. And I think I've finished, and I'm happy to answer your question if you do have. Rule number one.
Wonderful. Okay, I think that that's wonderful, Giovanni. Thank you so much. I thought it was really, really helpful. And actually, a lot of the information goes towards many different walks. So that's perfect. And Gillian, thank you very much. That was a really, really great presentation. Kind of makes me want to walk that walk. A couple of questions of my own before we go to questions from the people who are watching. Giovanni, when you guide along rugged cliff paths, what do you focus on to help walkers feel confident and relaxed on terrain that might look dramatic?
Well, number one thing is to try to focus, step by step. And we don't have a huge amount of sections that are exposed, that we say, along this trail. It's overall always quite safe type of itinerary. But I think, we go, in Italian we say un passo per volta, which means one step after the other. And that's, I think, a word of wisdom that it's always to have in mind when you do have steep climbs, or, when people may be afraid of heights. That's the thing to focus on, just to go slowly and one step after the other. Of course, when it comes also to safety, hiking posts are really very useful because they would give you additional balance points in that.
Gillian, the Fisherman's Trail is famous for its scenery. what are the sections that you personally find most breathtaking and why?
Well, to be honest, the first stage is pretty fantastic. You leave Porto Corvo, and of course, it's your first day. So you're impressed with everything you see. And there, I'm a bit obsessed with beaches because I love swimming. One of my favorite beaches is on the first day, Praia do Malho. Golden sand, boardwalk. I mean, you're walking as well, but you're thinking, I should come back here. So that's the trouble with this track. There are so many places you want to come back to. Then a bit further along from that, you come to sandstone cliffs, and that's called the Alturas do Nortes. I had to write all these names down. But my absolute favorite beach is in day 2, and that's the Breo Largo. It's quite difficult to get down to. It's got a lot of steps, and it was very tricky when we were there. When I was there, actually, it was incredibly hot, and a couple of us just said we have to go for a swim. So we got all the way down, and we were very lucky because it was quite a calm day, because you have to be a little bit careful about swimming in the Atlantic Ocean. But I won't tell you which clothes and what we took off, but I went in and no one took my picture. And actually, one of our group actually said, no, I'm not coming in. And he actually got heat stroke because we'd had cooled down, and he got heat stroke, the poor thing. So we got a taxi for him. It was fine. So that's the other thing. You have to be a bit careful with the heat. Other wonderful places are Cabo Sardau, which has got another lighthouse. That's before you get to the end. And then, of course, the Cabo de São Vicente, magic.
Sounds great. A couple of questions have been coming in from people watching. The first one, in March, when the trip is going, should you bring a swimsuit?
I would. I always have one.
Okay.
You have to get out of the water pretty quickly.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it's still a little bit nippy.
You probably have to have an English background to go swimming in those sorts of temperatures, because the Italians don't.
And then some more practical questions. Is Wi-Fi available along the route?
Ooh, I can't remember, because I have a European phone, obviously, so I have roaming. Giovanni, can you help on that one?
Sure. In every town, there are facilities, and we're gonna stay mostly in guest house and hotels, and they do have a pretty stable Wi-Fi connection, so that's not really a problem. Even for a phone line, it's no problem. Also along the trail, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so along the trail, people potentially with either an eSIM um, or an international plan, if they come from the US, could
I don't
chat.
remember having any trouble at all
Okay.
with my plan, so no.
Okay. And then another really good practical question is ATMs. So well, first off, should you bring cash? And if you do, how much cash should you bring? And then are ATMs available in order to take out more money?
I would say
Ooh,
every second village, you will have an ATM machine.
yeah,
These are small villages, but of course make a living by tourism. There is
yeah.
enough, I would say. Not every day, but every second village you have opportunity.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can pay by card, obviously.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that was part of the thing. So on these
Yeah.
sorts of trips, it's usually breakfast and dinner are supplied. And then do people normally eat the same thing during those meals?
Well, there is like a fixed meal with a little bit of flexibility. Of course, we will be prepared in case there's people that have specific dietary restrictions, and so everything will be presented ahead on time to the restaurants and accommodations for breakfast, for sure.
Yeah, the nice thing about our registration on a Pilgrim Paths trip is that that's a big question that's asked, if there's like allergies or that sort of thing. So it's good that we know about that. And so that information is given to the lodging or to the restaurant. So that's perfect. Kind of going back to money. So how much should someone bring with them?
Well, I would say to stay on the safe line, maybe cash could be 500 euros maximum, you know, yeah, maybe a couple, 500 euros. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I know like what I do when I get to Europe is that I go to an ATM and I make a withdrawal so that I can have my money in euros. So versus getting it from home.
Yeah, but you can also pay very often with a card nowadays. So,
Yeah.
that's to stay super safe line, I would say, for a couple 500 euros cash, it could be an idea, good figure.
Yeah, so I guess, well, it's almost lunchtime here for me, so I guess I'm kind of thinking about food, but breakfasts and dinners are included. So it's basically lunches and then whatever else people want to buy that they would have to have money, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
We will every day it's going to be different, so there could be opportunities to buy some food at the beginning of the day because during the day we don't have any facilities. In other days we have the option of a restaurant that we will present as a group. In this we have to be very careful because we go by majority, of course. We cannot split the group in two. So we have to make a common decision and decide what would we do for lunch and stick to that. So, but
Oh,
going to a grocery store to fix a sandwich or buy, some vegetables and fruit for the day, it's something that is possible nearly every day.
and that's the wonderful thing about having experienced people like you and Jillian. You guys know where things need to be purchased and what things need to be purchased. So that's great. Um, so for the both of you, how would you describe the rhythm of a typical day on the you want to call it Rota Vicentina, thinking of Italian, landscapes, villages, meals, and moments of discovery?
Can I answer this?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So breakfast may start at 7:30, and we give everybody some flexibility. So we don't have necessarily to be there at 7:30 for the beginning of breakfast. We give 1 hour time. So from 7:30 to 8:30, that will be breakfast for us. And then 15 minutes after, we gather at the reception area ready with our luggage. So we ask our guests to help us to load the van with their luggage. And then we commence the walk. We start with the walk. Around about 12:30, 1:30, depending on where it's worthwhile to spend lunch. We'll stop for some food, and by 3:30, 4:30, we are to the next place.
Okay.
We will give a little bit of free time and relax. We meet for root talk or happy hour to discuss about next day plans. We have dinner together and then we just relax. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Um, Jillian, can you repeat the information about transportation? Is it pretty
Yeah.
much everyone should fly into Lisbon?
Yes. The meeting is at Lisbon Airport, and then we have a transfer down. It's about a 2-hour drive to Porto Covo on the coast. Yeah. And then at the end of the trek, we get a transfer to Lagos, where there's to the railway station, and we get the train back up to Lisbon.
Okay, perfect. So
Okay.
that's great. And how many people are usually in a group?
Normally from 8 to maximum 18 people. I think this time we did like 16 for this group. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Kind of a question for both of you guys. If someone is on the fence about joining this trip, this 2026 group, what's the one thing you wish that they knew about this journey? What would be helpful for them?
Well, I think if you want to have fun on a walking tour, the number one thing is to be prepared for the experience. Most of the people are used to go out hiking maybe 2 days in a row, um, which is the norm. You know, weekend, you are free to do it. I think we have to go back to approaching to a different lifestyle and to try to work as much as possible in order to enjoy the experience of walking while on a trip. So it doesn't have to be a sport performance, but you need to have a basic level of fitness so that it will come natural and it will be fun to enjoy an experience like that. So in simple and short way, I would say give yourself 1 month and a half of preparation so that you will really find it not a challenge, but a fun experience.
Okay, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so what else did you have to add to that, Gillian?
No, I totally agree.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's kind of a good opportunity. There's several months of opportunities, and plus you can kind of get out and uh, and experience nature a little bit while you're doing it, and kind of work up to whatever goal that you want. One question in check.
Sorry, I just want to say, and get used to walking fairly long distances. Okay, we're talking average 20 kilometers, and that's day after day for 8 days. So yeah, you have to know that too.
Yeah, and that's good. And it's good so that you have more fun, as Giovanni mentioned. So Sharon and Don have been really great at sending questions. This is another one from them. Do you ask participants about their hiking experience?
Who's answering that?
Well, it's always a good subject of conversation to know about the previous experience as hikers. And again, this is a deluxe type of experience because we have the van and we have the opportunity to make everybody happy. But I would remark the fact that it's still a 9 days walking experience, so you need to be prepared for that experience.
Yeah, and I think just to add, it's like if anyone has any questions about their level of experience and wants to talk to someone, either Sandy and I are very happy, to talk to people about that and what might be helpful. So
You
yeah, it should
and
be.
they do an excellent job for that. Once we will meet them, it will be too late. So we will talk about the hiking experiences that we had and we want to do. And, it's always fun to talk about plans and bucket list of, the world is full with incredible walks. So, of course.
That's exactly right. Well, we're kind of closing in on the hour now. Do we have time for more questions, or should we start wrapping up, Sandy? One more question then. So, let's go to Jillian, if that's okay. Oh,
Yeah, there's a question on the
oh,
screen.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. Is there a deadline for registration? And usually, and correct me if you want to, Sandy, but usually we like to get things tied up about 3 months before the trip starts. That is a good way to make sure that all the reservations have the information that's needed. We can get everything situated, and so it's very good. So this is a March trip, so we're looking at, I guess, the end of December. I'd have to look at the exact dates. Okay. What other? I think that that's it then, unless someone else wants to add something. Um, so, Gillian, Giovanni, is there any closing statement that you'd like to make really quickly?
How can you resist it?
Exactly.
No, I can't wait to get back. I've already walked it a couple of times, and it's just fantastic. All the space and the horizons and the salt and the wind in your hair and getting cold, getting too warm. It's just beautiful.
Okay, what about you, Gio?
Well, I totally agree with Gillian. I'm so looking forward on more pastéis de nata and more walks and
And the bacalao. Oh, the bacalao is really
of course. Yeah.
yeah.
And why not
Well,
Sagres beer and Vinho Verde?
yes, yes, the Vino Verde. Ugh. But anyway, this is wonderful. And just kind of to remind everyone, this is part of a series of presentations. So we're actually in 2 weeks going to be seeing Giovanni again, and along with author Bibi Bahrami regarding the Via Podiensis. So Bibi is wonderful. I just worked with her on the Camino Frances trip, and she's a great host for this trip. So we'll look forward to seeing people in 2 weeks. And with all of that, thank you, Giovanni, Gillian, and everyone who was able to join today. This is wonderful. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rocky, Giovanni, Sandy.
Grazie a tutti. Thank you. Thank you all. Ciao,
Okay,
ciao.
everyone have a good day. Thank you.